This is the SeoulPodcast, the only thing in Korea that you can't purchase on Coupon. I'm King Sejong, reminding you, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, consider a midnight run. And here are your hosts, Emma Kalka and Joe McPherson.
And welcome to the Seoul Podcast. This is Joe.
Hi,
and
this
I'm
is
Emma.
Yunjeong.
Yes, thank you. And this week we do have from the website Lawyer Hwang, Yunjeong Hwang. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so honored to be invited to this show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming. You're kind of a celebrity as far as on the internets over here in Korea, because your blog is quite good, and it's. Would you mind introducing your blog to us?
Yes. I have my website, lawyerhwang.com, and I have uploaded my posts on legal issues in Korea. And these days, I have a series of posts on Squid Game and Korean laws.
We wanted to have on Yunjeong to talk a little bit about some legal issues that you might have had questions about while watching the show. So tell us, okay, right offhand, episode 1. This was a minor thing, but I think Emma, we talked about that when we were discussing episode 1 about Gi-hun using the ATM, using his mother's card on the ATM without her permission. That does not sound totally legal, but how would that work? I mean, would that fly in Korea?
Let me give you a quiz, okay?
Okay, give me a quiz.
Okay. Yes, okay. For what charges will he be penalized? Number 1, larceny. Stealing her mother's debit card and withdrawing money. Number 2, larceny is stealing the money of the owner of the ATM, the cash machine. And number 3, fraud by use of computer. I mean, he put into password.
Yeah.
His mother's password.
Yeah.
Is making data processed after inputting a false information and improper order. And number 4, he won't be penalized.
I would say the first one.
First one. So you mean that it was larceny?
Like stealing money from his mother?
His mother's debit card and money. Well, actually, it was his mother's debit card. So, according to Korean Criminal Act, when committing larceny against lineal blood, like parents, punishment shall be remitted.
Really?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
So he could just steal whatever money he wants from his mother, and that's okay? That's remitted? That's okay?
Yes. But
all right.
Yeah, but can you remember number 2? He stole the money. Yeah, he stole the money. The under control of the ATM's owner.
Right. So he was using fraud to take money from the machine. So technically, money is.
No. Number 3 is not the case. Number 2, the committed a crime against the owner of ATM.
Right, against the owner of the ATM.
Yes.
So it was
very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness I have you to help me with that one.
Okay. So I gave you a kiss because it's very confusing.
So it was number 2?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
This is number 2. Yes.
It was number 2. Okay. Whew.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I failed that one. let's see. There have been quite a few articles talking about Ali,
Yes.
the breakout, one of the favorite characters, and he went through lots of problems. At the beginning, he was saying he'd lost a few fingers in an industrial accident. He went to he's trying to get his back pay from his employer who had stiffed him, that didn't have the money. Wouldn't give him the money. Then he stole the money from the employer. Also, he's undocumented. Okay, so there are a few things. Okay, what advice would we give Ali? As in, would he have labor rights? How would he deal with his undocumented status?
Yes. According to Labor Standards Act in Korea, he will be his rights as an employee will be respected.
Despite
his status of he's undocumented worker, but he has rights as an employee. So his rights as an employee will be protected by the Labor Standards Act. So he may file a case to the labor office for his back pay. But
Now,
as you might know, he will be reported. But recently, some relevant rules have been changed. So
really?
I mean that. So the labor officer does not have to report him for his visa status. Anyway, he may file a case to the labor office.
True.
But he might be reported to the immigration office later. So he will have to pay fine for his stay.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people here don't see it this way. A lot of people just see the government as one entity, but you don't see that the labor office is here and immigration is over here. They're very even though they're all under the State Department. This side doesn't know what this side is doing all the time.
You think that they are separate organizations.
Yeah, they're separate. And education office is separate. And unless they talk to each other, the immigration office doesn't know what the labor office is doing.
Correct.
Right.
Well, it's the same with it's the same with the tax office too. And they're all very related to each other. But again, immigration doesn't know what's going on with the tax office. Tax office doesn't know what's going on with immigration.
Yeah.
And
in my experience, immigration doesn't know what's going on with immigration.
Yes.
This is true. It really just kind of depends on who you get that day.
So I think that there is a loophole because they do not know each other. What others are doing. So,
I joke. If anyone has a question for immigration, call once and then call again, then call a third time, because your answer depends on who you talk to and what they had for lunch.
I usually I would call multiple times, and then whatever answer I got the most, I'm like, okay, I feel safe going with this one. This is what I can go with.
Actually, the immigration officer have much discretion.
Yes, they do.
Actually, so sometimes the expats might be confused about their guidelines. Sometimes,
right?
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah. I remember once when I was renewing an E7, and they gave me like 15 months, and I'm like, I thought this was only supposed to be 12, and they're like, no, it's cool. But I didn't say anything. I looked down, I was like 15 months, and I was like, walk away, Em. Just walk away. You got an extra few months on your visa. Just walk away. But apparently it was not like a one-time thing. I talked to other people who were on E2 visas, and they had something similar where they got like an extra month or two on their visa for whatever reason. I think with mine, they were just trying to match it up to my employment contract. Wow. Because somehow they had gotten off kilter, or no, they were trying to line up all of the E7 visas onto the same timeline with their visas. So they adjusted my work contract, not taking into consideration that it was attached to my visa. And so when I went into immigration, and I think what they did was they just saw that my work contract was a year from this month to this month. So they just put that end date on my visa, not realizing that there was like a difference of like a few months, like 3 months there.
Oh my.
And so I'm assuming that's how I got it. And I was just like, do I point this out? What do I do?
Stories. I have stories. Yeah.
I remember sitting there in immigration, like on like chatting with a friend. Like, what do I do? And they're like, oh, that happened to me too. It's fine. I'm like, are you sure? I'm not going to get in trouble for this. But then it didn't matter because before my visa expired, I ended up switching to the F2 visa. So got a completely different visa system there. But I was just kind of like, I didn't know they could do that. I guess they can.
Do you have any more advice for Ali? If
I could have met him, actually, when he was injured, then I would have advised him to apply for compensation for the industrial accident. Even an undocumented worker may be compensated for an industrial accident, even if his employer hasn't taken up the industrial insurance policy. And also, an injured, undocumented worker who needs to receive treatment for injury in workplace accident may obtain a G1 visa.
A G1 visa?
Yes, G1 visa.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that one. Okay. So, because I don't think, my thinking is I would like to, I'm curious about how much people know about this and how people actually take advantage of that. Because I think if I was in that position, I would still be too scared of the consequences of trying to do anything to come out.
I understand.
I have a story from way back 2007 where my ex-employer didn't pay me my severance Tejigum.
Severance pay, yes.
Yeah, didn't pay. And so I went to the labor board, and the owner used as many tricks as she could to try to get me out of the country. And it was really difficult. It took 2 years to get that.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was 2007. I think there might be more protections now than there were back then. Yeah, it was really difficult. And so it is like the owners, the bosses can play dirty tricks on the immigrants.
Yes. And also some employers threatened the employees, saying that you will be reported to immigration office and you will be deported.
And that was a big fear of mine. I did not want that to happen just because I was wanting my pay.
But as you might know, according to Labor Standards Act, an employer who does not pay the wages shall be punished. The employer shall pay fine, or in some serious cases, the employer will go to jail.
Well, almost that, but she kept appealing. We ended up going to Suwon to get that taken care of. And it was, I was just asking for what, basically EBEC Ochang, 2.5 million. I ended up getting Palbeck in the end because they kept stacking it up and she just kept getting fined so much.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big issue. That was fun. Oh, okay.
I feel like you haven't had to go through that.
I'm challenging you so much. Okay, I did have a question about Jiyoung.
Yes.
Okay, so this is really confused me because we were confused before. Like, why is she in the Squid Game anyway? Because she didn't seem to have any debt. Now, back up for people who don't remember, Jiyoung was a Sebyok's friend who murdered her father after her father murdered her mother. And so, of course, Se-byuk was in prison for murdering her father.
Jiyoung.
Who did I say?
Jiyoung.
It was Jiyoung. It was Jiyoung.
Jiyoung was in prison. Thank you. So they said like when she was released that she was approached by a Squid Game, Squid Game rep, and she assumed that it was a debtor to collect her father's debts. I'm just wondering, would a father's debts be passed on to the child after death?
Yes.
They would.
Yes. Unfortunately.
Okay.
There is no protection rules for minors in Korea. So the government and the relevant government institutes are trying to make some new laws to protect minors.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of issues that were crammed into this show, and that was one small one that I just caught on the second watch. So that is an issue, that there's no protection for minors.
It was very. Anyway, I think that this is good point, because the minors who inherited the debt will be bankrupt eventually.
Yeah. I mean, how
so
could
it is
they do
very
that?
important. Point. But according to Civil Act, the inheritor may renunciate the debt.
Okay.
Renunciate the inheritance of debt within 3 months after she is informed of the commencement of an inheritance. So Jiyoung should have renunciated the debt within 3 months.
Within 3 months. Okay.
And then she wouldn't have inherited it, and it would just be like off into somewhere else.
But she is a minor, so the days were counted from the day when her legal representative was informed of the commence of an inheritance.
Oh,
okay.
Because she was a minor. So her So within 3 months, within 3 months after her legal representative was informed of the commence of an inheritance.
Okay.
Her legal representative should have renunciated the inheritance.
Okay, so that would have been it. But if that had happened, then she wouldn't be in the plot. She wouldn't be in the story.
Then she doesn't. She did not need to join the Squid Game. Yes.
That would not have helped at all.
I think that so many of players did not know the laws, so they should needed to come to
Oh right,
I didn't join the game.
I didn't think about that. There were probably a lot of those players that were involved. They might have had legal options available to deal with their debt, but they didn't know about it, because this is something I think just your average person doesn't really think about, because hopefully we don't get into like mountains and mountains of debt. But even when you do, like, where do you go to figure out how to get out of it? And when you think about hiring a lawyer, it's like, oh, lawyers are expensive. I'm in debt. I can't even afford to get a lawyer to tell me how to get out of this, or what my options are.
For those who are in much debt, I would like to give you an advice. They can go to a lawyer, free lawyer. They can get a legal aid from the government.
Okay.
That is true. That is true.
That's right,
In the end, we were able to get legal aid for my case.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. Now there's the obvious one. I just have to get this out of the way, because we can't. The big elephant in the room. At the beginning, everyone signed an agreement to participate in the game.
Right. Yes. They did sign a
Would that hold up? This is what's so funny about that is like, how would they enforce this without revealing what they were doing?
Yeah. As you might know, the contract shall be null and void. Because
well, yeah, I mean, but we had to say that. I knew that was obvious, but I think this is relevant to a lot of people working in Korea. Is people think that if an employer puts it in a contract and it goes against what the law says, they think that the contract trumps the law when it's the other way around. If there's always that phrase that's in every contract is like this contract should follow the laws of this state. And any parts that violate any laws are null and void, correct? It's usually in most contracts.
Actually, in Civil Act, there is a general article that can be applied to all the contracts. The articles 103, according to the article, a juristic act which has for its object such matters as are contrary to good morals and other social order shall be null and void.
I love the social order. I love that one.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure everything about Squid Game just like blows past all of that.
But I mean, he had to do that. We had to bring that up.
We had to ask the obvious question.
Because you know there's someone, because you always get the law and order types in every argument. They go, well, they signed a contract. That's like, yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay. I asked, I'm not sure if you can help me with this one. Okay. We talked about this with Junho, the police detective.
Nine Lives. I call him Detective Nine Lives.
Yes. And this has been brought up on some of the YouTube parody accounts like Pitch Meeting. And I think even Honest Trailers brought that up is, before he even knows what's going on, he's already killed a worker at the Squid Games. And his body count is pretty high. If somehow he survived and he was able to get back to civilization, would he possibly have some consequences for this? Or is it, or because he was policeman and he could use this? I mean,
yeah. So I was told that Junho has many big fans, but unfortunately, he will be punished eventually.
Like, sorry guys. Yeah, I know you're rooting for him, but
there's no stand your ground law in Korea.
No. He wasn't even standing his ground. He knocked him out and tossed him overboard. How is that self-defense?
Yeah, that's true.
Not self-defense.
And another guy, he shot him in the head while he was kneeling.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to get around that one. It's just like, oh, bye.
Yeah.
That was straight up murder.
Okay, so he would get in trouble for that.
Yes, as I know, there are some articles in criminal act like self-defense or justifiable act. So if he could meet the requirements of the articles, then he might not be punished. But actually, I don't think that he has justifiable reasons to kill somebody.
No. But this is also this is relevant to an issue that affects a lot of people who've moved here and trying to figure out what does count as self-defense, because what I've seen and how cases have been done, if you're just not running away, you could get in trouble. I mean, if you hit anyone who hits you, you can equally get in trouble. Or if someone attacks you and you cause them more harm than they caused you, you're the one in trouble. Am I correct? You understand what I'm saying? So like someone attacks me with a knife, and I take the knife and I stab them in the arm, but they didn't hurt me. I get in trouble.
Yes.
I would get more trouble because I cause more harm.
Situation. It depends on the situation. So there is no clear-cut answer.
Yeah, but the way the cases have been going,
your lawyer should defend you well.
Yeah. But the way the common law has been going, it's like these are the cases. They tend to be like. That's why they always say like, if someone tries to pick a fight with you, walk away because you could get in more trouble.
But according to court precedents in Korea, not much self-defense is accepted, unfortunately, so far. So for instance, for a rape case, in the past, a victim bites off the offender's tongue.
Oh, I remember that case.
As the offender was trying to kiss the victim. So the victim
I remember that one.
Bit of the offender's tongue.
Yeah.
In the past, it was not considered to be self-defense. But recently, the prosecutor considered it as self-defense. So the prosecutor did not indict the victim.
Oh, okay. So they overturned, because I know she was previously convicted, wasn't she, for that?
In the past, maybe in 1970s, but last year, the prosecutor, it was almost the same case, but the prosecutor decided not to indict her.
Oh yeah.
So
okay,
the case didn't go to the court.
You got it,
the
Emma?
case was closed.
Yeah,
okay.
I got it.
Okay.
I was like, I got confused.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I thought she was like, I thought it went to court. Maybe
So it's hard for
one. Yeah.
See, Emma works in news, so she's exposed to all these news stories, and you have to keep track of them all.
Yeah, I'm like, so if I'm like looking off, it's like because I'm going through like, okay, was it that case? No, was it that one? I can't remember. And like, there's so many cases that are very similar, and they get like so confused. I'm like, wait a minute, which one was it?
Yes, but the application of laws have been changing according to time passed.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see that a lot of, especially like the laws pertaining to sexual violence and domestic violence have been changing a lot like the last several years. Like I think the first big change that I remember was in like summer 2013 is when it came into effect. And then since then, there's just been like multiple changes that have happened. I'm like, yay, this is good news.
Maybe, in the past, there was a case where a judge made the defendant and victim get married in the court.
Oh, good Lord.
In the past.
Actually, I think I might have. Yeah. I mean, I think I heard about that.
It's a long time ago, but yeah.
That sounds so Joseon. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh, buddy.
Oh boy.
Buddy.
Yeah, but fortunately, things have changed a lot. Fortunately.
Okay. I mean, I've always been positive because things in my time, I've been here almost 20 years, and a lot has changed. In fact, I've recently been looking back on my first few years here, and I just really see that. I really now am starting to see that as a totally different era, very different time. Very different time.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I first came here in 2007, and between 2007 and now, it's just almost
extremely different.
Very different. Hey, and as of last week, we now have like a pretty decent stalking law on the books.
STALKING.
Stalking. Yeah, stalking. Yeah.
Not socks. Not socks.
But yeah, I mean, and that's something that you didn't have. Like people would, if somebody got caught for stalking, they would just pay 100,000 won and go along their way.
Yes. Stalking was considered to be a minor offense. But as Emma says, the new law was introduced recently. So yes, a stalker will be punished.
and I think it makes it easier to get like a restraining order or an order of protection now if you need it, which is very good.
Yes.
Whether or not they stick to it, as witnessed in the U.S. so many times, is another story. But at least you know it's a step. It helps. It can try and help.
Yes, it reflects the change of the social awareness of the stalkers.
Really good to hear. Yeah, I was thinking back. That was an issue way back. Now, Emma, you might not remember this, but there was the anti-English spectrum group.
I remember that.
They were an anti-foreigner group, and they had some type of blog, and they were showing proof that they were going through foreigners' garbage to get information on them, and they were posting that on their websites, and they were getting interviewed by the media for going through their garbage.
I remember that. That was back right when I first came.
Yeah. That was way back. Yeah. They're no longer around, as we hope.
Yeah. I think it was over very shortly, I think, after I got here, because it was around 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
I think
that's when. Yeah. It was 2009. I think they stopped all activities. Yeah. Okay. One more. Okay. Oh, yeah. One more. Okay. So this is the big one. Okay. Let's say season 2. Song Gi-hoon somehow exposes this whole Squid Game to the public and the whole world. There's a public outcry against this. And so this is assuming that the games took place within Korean jurisdiction, which actually that the island they base it on is right off to the west of Incheon. I tracked it down. It's a real island. It's a real island off the coast of Korea. It actually is. It is.
It's a real island. It really exists.
Yes, it's a real island.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll post it. I'm gonna post it. I have a map. of all the shooting locations and everything that they. Yes. Yes, I have that. I
Good information.
I get obsessive. So it really does. Yeah, it's right. It's right west off the coast of Incheon. Okay. So obviously the Korean organizers would be penalized, would go to stand trial. But what about the international, the VIPs? What could happen to them? Could anything happen?
About VIPs crimes and punishment, I have uploaded my post today.
Okay, yeah, I saw it on Facebook right before
LawyerHwang.com.
Thank you. So yeah, as you might know, according to Korean Criminal Act, they will be punished because they committed crimes within Korea, within territory of Korea, Republic of Korea. They will be punished.
Now, I wonder how much power Korea would have to extradite them to come here, though. Now, that's a political thing. Now, I'm not sure that's a purely legal answer to that. That might be depend on how much strength the Korean government has to extradite, considering what we just went through with China and Japan with the two Michaels.
But there is an extradition act in Korea. So according to act, I think that they are likely to be in prison, and then they will be sent to their countries, I think.
Yeah, so technically they could be extradited. But like we saw with Ms. Meng from Hwang, it's kind of difficult.
According to the request of their countries, they might be extradited, but according to the act, they will be punished in Korea, and after completion of their imprisonment, they will be deported.
Right. That happened with
they cannot come back to Korea.
That happened with the Burger King murder.
Right. I think didn't that take something like 25 years?
It took
to get extradited over to Korea.
I'm not sure if 25, but it took a long time to get the Burger King murderer
It took a very long
extradited.
time. 25 might be overshooting it. It could be closer to 20 or maybe just under 20. But I knew it took like over a decade.
Took a long
to
time.
get him extradited back.
Yes.
They had to make a movie about it to make it happen.
I feel like that's what you.
I would like to give you another piece on their.
Oh no!
Criminal
Another chance for me to fail! Yay!
I'm sorry, I missed I was having internet issues, but I finally got it worked out. I missed the quiz.
KT was.
I would like to ask just could you tell me what their criminal offenses are?
Okay.
This isn't multiple choice?
No.
Nope,
Oh,
you gotta
my.
guess. All right, let's see.
Oh my. Oh gosh, would it be kidnapping?
What? Who? Oh, the organizers of
The
Squid Game?
organizers are the VIPs.
Who? Which person are we talking about?
VIPs.
The
VIPs. What would their crime
VIPs.
be?
The organizers have many.
Yeah, you
criminal
can't get that
offenses.
one. Throw a dart, you'll hit one.
Oh my. What would it
But
be?
the VIPs, what would their criminal offense be? Let me
I mean,
think about
obviously
this.
they're connected by money somehow to it.
Gambling.
Yes,
Oh, no,
gambling.
but
Yes.
Really?
gambling.
Yeah.
Yes,
'cause I wasn't
gambling.
sure.
And I think they're they seem to have gambled every year, so maybe habitual gambling.
Mhm.
For
Okay,
habitual
yeah.
gambling,
Okay.
stronger punishment will be imposed.
Okay. Gambling. Would be there anything about witnessing a crime and not reporting it?
Well,
No, there's no good Samaritan law in Korea, though.
So aiding and abetting, supporting,
Yes.
supporting a crime.
murder.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Wouldn't that be aiding and abetting
Yes,
a murder
aiding, abetting murders of
Mhm.
workers and players.
on
Right.
over 200 accounts?
I mean, it'd be the same as someone paying someone to put a hit on someone.
Yes.
Yeah, in a way.
So that would be solicitation of murder.
Yes.
And then conspiracy. Oh, it would be a conspiracy charge too. I watch way too much Law and Order SVU. That's why I'm just like, oh, conspiracy, and it's gonna be this one.
Then how about
How about the
VIP?
acting? There's no crime against the acting.
I hope Daniel doesn't watch this.
I'm
one.
joking.
Uh,
On our next show, we're going to have one of the VIP actors.
We're
on
gonna have one of the
show,
VIP actors.
But it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, we're friends with
But
them. so.
I would like to say that in foreign movie, some Korean characters appear in the movie, but many Koreans feel strange.
Right.
Korean actors in foreign movies.
Yeah. Black Panther when they're at over at Jagachi Fish Market. It was funny that the person from Wakanda spoke better Korean than the Korean woman. And also Lost. Remember the show Lost? Jin, who Daniel Day-Lewis, not Daniel Day-Lewis, Daniel Day-Kim. Anyway. People were saying that his accent was really off-putting when he was speaking Korean, even though he supposedly didn't know English. His character didn't know English at first. Yeah.
It was really interesting because he was like the Korean American, and yet his character was not supposed to know any English. But then the woman who played his wife was a South Korean actress who had better English than he did. I was like,
Yeah.
That's kind of swapped, but that's interesting.
So
I would like to ask about VIP 4.
VIP 4.
The VIP who liked Junho.
Ew, that one.
he was 4? That was 4?
Would that be?
Yes.
Would that be? Well, I don't know if it would be solicitation for sex because he didn't actually pay for it. It was just like a bonus.
Would it be harassment?
Some like harassment of some level?
Yes, harassment. Yeah, I think that it can be harassment. And also
coerced.
he intimidated Junho.
True.
Yeah, I mean, coercion.
He
So
would
that would-
kill him.
So that would
He
have
would kill
been
him.
like an extra
intimidation.
on top of like the
Yeah.
sexual assault or harassment.
And also, he was attempted imitative rape.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I remember it wasn't until less than 10 years ago that male to male was it male to male rape was recognized.
Yeah, it wasn't considered. Yeah,
The law has been changed. So
it was a case in
the
Busan.
victim can be male.
Yeah, the victims couldn't be males until recently. Yeah,
I think that one was around 2013 because they introduced something that was like they called it like rape.
Change it.
Yeah, like they introduced language that would encompass so you had rape, but then you have this other law which is basically the same, but anything that other than male genitalia going into female genitalia.
Yes. So in the past, only woman could be a victim of rape, but as Emma says, terms were changed.
Yeah,
so
everything
he tried to rape.
So that would be attempted rape as well. So attempted rape, sexual harassment, intimidation, on top of like aiding and abetting. And that guy was he's just in jail forever.
And using that 69 joke way too much.
Oh, he should go to jail just for that. And then also maybe for like subjecting us to the view of his butt. The rope dropped. I was like, what is going on? I scared my dog.
Why couldn't it be Daniel? Why did it be?
I know. Actually, that would be weird. I don't think I could do the interview if it had been Daniel. I'd be like, so. Like, and good to see you, Daniel.
Don't worry, Emma. I could handle it.
You could handle it. Okay, you got that one.
Yeah.
But I would like to point to one issue. Just harassment by saying some thing, telling something dirty cannot be a crime. But maybe insulting, but sexual harassment, verbal sexual harassment cannot be a crime.
Oh, well, okay. So now a lot of these articles I've edited suddenly make sense because in the States, when we talk about sexual harassment, it's usually verbal, I believe, or we assume that it's verbal in some sense, like some sort of like innuendo, or maybe
saying,
like,
oh, you should dress in tighter sweaters or something like that.
Yeah, or maybe like telling dirty jokes,
or talking about pornography. Remember, we have a Supreme Court justice that.
And then, and then, like the higher level of the spectrum that it would encompass would be like unwanted, non-sexual touching. So, like if they touch your shoulder, like if they massage your shoulders, if they touched your knee, that sort of like that. So from like verbal up to like that sort of touching, that tends to fall under sexual harassment. Again, depends on the jurisdiction, because I think every state, every county has a little bit different laws. So for me as an American, when you say sexual harassment, I go to like, oh, so they were making unwanted advances, they were using sexual innuendo, they were making jokes about pornography at the office, maybe they were touching their knee, touching the, kind of unwanted non-sexual touching. So it's been a huge learning curve, like editing these news articles that we get in Korea about, especially lately, because we had so many stories coming from like the military, and I have to like go to the writers or the, whoever, and ask them, okay, did this article what did they say specifically in Korean that they did? Like, what is the actual charge that they are charged with? Because that's what we'll use in the article instead of just like a blanket sexual harassment or sexual, because they mean different. Like in English, English speakers have a different idea of what this is, I think, versus what maybe English speakers in Korea, like Korean English speakers might think. And like I've had so many discussions at the office about like, okay, so here's this big story. These are the terms that we're going to use when reporting about the story to make sure that it's accurate, that according to what's being said in the Korean, because Korean has all these different terminology. And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? What is this exactly?
Yes.
And so it's usually safer for us to go with like the actual charge. So like indecent touch or
indecent act by compulsion.
Yeah, that there
is
we go.
English translation of the act. So sexually unwanted touching by compulsion shall be punished. And it is called indecent act by compulsion. But I asked some experts, if they can understand what indecent act by compulsion means, but they didn't seem to understand it. Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I
I'm
know
not sure
it when I see it.
Yeah. I'm not sure it is a good translation.
Yeah, because like typically, I mean, it works with articles that we do because it's usually followed up by an explanation of what was in the police report. So like so-and-so was charged with forceful indecent act. I think that's what we end up going with. We translate it to like forceful indecent act. And then on this day, the so-and-so, we typically go with like last names. We try to avoid using victim and all of this stuff because I'm like AP style guide is my Bible. But we usually go with like, okay, the woman and this other person were in a car going back from one place to another place when allegedly the Cho groped her or whatever, or did this or that. So we'll have not like a graphic explanation of what happened, but like a general explanation of this is what was in the police report. And so, which kind of, I guess, helps understand what is meant by the charge. So like forceful indecent act, meaning he groped her and then was like, hey baby, come home with me. And she's like, no. And then ran away or something, got out of the situation, ended in some sort of form. But yeah, it's reporting on like sexual assault or any sort of sexual crime you got to be super, super careful with it. It's very, very sensitive. And especially when you're dealing with like translating terms from Korean into English, because again, they mean different things. And so I have to tell them like, okay, explain to me exactly what happened so I can figure out how we need to present this in English to make sure that we're not saying something that didn't happen or, getting something wrong.
Right.
Because people like to use the word molest. And I'm like, typically in English, we say that for cases involving children.
Yeah.
Because it is,
grope works though.
Yeah, it's like grope works, that unwanted touching, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that works.
So Junho would have a case.
To balance out what Junho did. Yeah.
And to balance out murder. To balance out the murders that he committed, he could go after 69 VIP for attempted rape. Everybody's going to jail. They're all going to jail for something. It's just a matter of who's going to be there longer.
Oh man. Well, thank you. Do you have any other? Could you tell us any other thoughts you had about Squid Game?
Well, you might know there are many criminal offenses of the characters.
They're all going to jail.
Yeah. So they made a criminal organization. It is a very serious crime in Korea too.
As witnessed by the recent Inthroot cases, they could go to jail for a really long time for that now.
Well, thank you for taking time out to talk with us today and answer all these legal questions for us. Again, Yunjeong Hwang, which you can reach at Lawyer Hwang. That's lawyerhwang.com. Practicing attorney. And it was great to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very enjoyable time to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was really good. Okay, we're gonna.
Incredibly interesting.
It was great. We're gonna wrap it up and just tell you that you can check us out on SeoulPodcast.com. And on Twitter at King Sejong, and on Facebook at Seoul Podcast. You can find Emma on Twitter at Emma Kalka, and you can find me at Zin Kimchi. So we're going to discuss the actual episodes 5 and 6 in our next episode, and then the one after that, we're going to actually, if things go well, we're actually going to have one of the actors from Squid Game on our show. All right. Well, thank you. Until next time, stay safe.
The Seoul Podcast is a production of Zen Kimchi International, copyright 2021, under the Creative Commons license. Parts of this podcast may be used for non-commercial purposes if you remember to give us credit. You can contact us at sejong@seoulpodcast.com. That's SEJONG@seoulpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at King Sejong and on Facebook at facebook.com/SeoulPodcast. For a transcript of this episode, listen to it again and write down what you hear. See you next week. Until then, may your samgak kimbap always be crispy and ever so salty on the outside and ever so tasty and moist on the inside.